The Averick scientists approached Earth with excitement and professional detachment, an operation they had performed countless times on different planets. Each planet, each species they had studied, revealed new layers of the galaxy's endless diversity, yet also confirmed a pattern they had come to expect. Every intelligent species had evolved in the crucible of survival, their very existence shaped by a natural predator or some greater threat that balanced their development. The scientists believed that life, without a powerful adversary, could not evolve to intelligence and complexity. They believed every world's intelligent species shared a common evolutionary history, marked by survival against odds. And so, Earth, home to humanity, a relatively new player on the galactic stage, would surely fit within this universal framework. Their initial findings, however, defied every expectation. As the Averick scientists studied Earth's ecosystems, climates, and species distribution, they found no evidence of a predator that hunted humans. Large animals such as lions, wolves, and bears coexisted with early humans, but humans had quickly risen to the top of their ecosystems, overcoming or neutralizing these threats through ingenuity and cooperation. In short, humans, unlike other sentient beings, had no natural predators to keep them in check. Puzzled, the scientists convened to discuss the implications of this discovery. How could they have risen to dominance so quickly? Asked Dr. Kaylor, a biologist specializing in apex predator studies. Without a natural predator, there should have been no evolutionary pressure to develop complex survival skills. We've seen it countless times. Without a predator, a species remains stagnant. The others nodded, equally baffled. They had spent weeks observing humans in their natural environments, studying their interactions with other species, and analyzing their history. The humans' dominance was not rooted in strength or physical superiority, as many apex species they had encountered were. The Avericks had expected to see signs of an external threat guiding humanity's evolution, pushing them to develop defenses and strategies for survival. Instead, what they saw was a species that had risen to the top on its own terms, determined to find answers. The Averick scientists delved into Earth's historical archives. Poring over centuries of data and documentation, they studied everything from human warfare to their exploration of the natural world, hoping to find some clue as to how humanity had thrived without a predator. What they found only deepened their fascination. Humans had not only adapted to their environment, they had transformed it. Unlike other sentient species who learned to coexist with nature's dangers, humanity had taken control of its surroundings, shaping the landscape, domesticating animals, and developing tools to overcome any obstacle. The more they learned, the more the Avericks came to understand that humanity's rise was not a product of external threats, but of internal drive. In the absence of a predator, humans had turned to themselves as their greatest challenge, creating obstacles, conflicts, and trials that pushed them to grow stronger. They created complex societies with rules, hierarchies, and cultures, each layer adding a new dimension to their evolution. The scientists were left grappling with a profound realization. Humanity wasn't an anomaly. They were a testament to the power of self-imposed challenges. The Avericks had never encountered a species that thrived not on fear, but on an insatiable drive to overcome. They watched as humans engaged in competitive sports, rigorous training, and intellectual debates, all in the name of self-improvement. In the absence of a natural predator, humans had invented ways to test themselves, forging strength and resilience from within. What kind of power lies within a species that does not fear? Dr. Kaylor asked, her voice a mixture of awe and unease. What kind of strength is born from a mind that sees challenge not as survival, but as self-expression? The question hung in the air, a reminder that the Avericks were facing something unprecedented. The Averick scientists, now deeply engrossed in humanity's paradoxical evolution, decided they needed a more immersive approach. To understand how humans functioned without a predator, they would need to experience Earth's environment firsthand, so they arranged a series of field expeditions across Earth's landscapes. This time, they weren't merely observing. They were seeking to comprehend the human mind and its relationship to its unique ecosystem. The first expedition took the team to the vast, untamed wilderness of the Rocky Mountains. As the scientists descended into the valleys and climbed along jagged cliffs, they found themselves exhausted under the weight of Earth's gravity. The terrain was harsh, the environment unpredictable, and yet, they were witnessing humans traversing these landscapes with ease, taking on natural obstacles that would challenge any species from a low-gravity planet. Commander Zexier, one of the lead researchers, was fascinated by the sight of human climbers scaling a sheer rock face. From where he stood, it seemed almost suicidal, and he watched in disbelief as they pushed themselves upward, 1 inch at a time. As he observed, he couldn't help but notice that the climbers' faces radiated excitement rather than fear. This wasn't a matter of survival. It was something deeper, something innate. Why would they do this? Zexier murmured, adjusting his binoculars to observe the climbers more closely. There is no reward, no prey to catch, no enemy to evade. This is purely self-imposed. They are doing it for pleasure? Dr. Kaler, who had been observing the climbers with equal fascination, replied, pleasure, or perhaps a need to conquer their own limitations. It's as if they've turned adversity into a form of self-expression. As the scientists documented each step, they were drawn into the mystery of humanity's insatiable drive to push beyond comfort, to seek out obstacles and overcome them. Even when those obstacles were dangerous and unnecessary for survival, humans seemed driven by a need to surpass their own limitations, to see how far they could go before they had to stop. It was a concept that defied the Evrics' understanding of life, yet one that was undeniably central to human nature. Later that week, the scientists traveled to a bustling city. They observed as humans engaged in high-stakes business deals, fast-paced athletic events, and strategic games of chance. The Avrics noted with intrigue how humans constantly sought competition, creating situations where they could test their abilities against each other. It was a stark contrast to most species, who sought harmony within their ecosystems. Humans, however, seemed to thrive on conflict and challenge, their society structured around trials that brought both glory and failure. One of the younger researchers, Olivan, turned to Dr. Kaler and asked, is this need for conflict something instinctual, do you think? Or is it cultural? Perhaps a bit of both. Dr. Kaler responded thoughtfully. Humans have had to fend for themselves, not against predators, but against the harshness of their own ambitions. They have developed a culture that embraces adversity as a means of growth. The scientists then explored humanity's history of warfare and invention. They pored over records of ancient battles, technological revolutions, and global crises that had shaped human civilization. Each era seemed to reveal a new layer of resilience, an adaptability that allowed humans to not only survive but to emerge stronger after every conflict. Wars, revolutions, and famines had each taken their toll, yet humanity's response was always the same: adapt, overcome, and rise above. As they examined the records, Zexier remarked, their history is one of constant struggle, but not against an external force, it's against themselves. They have fought to define their identity, to push the boundaries of what they believe is possible. This isn't mere survival, it's evolution by choice. It was becoming clear that humans had found strength not through the fear of predators, but through the challenges they placed upon themselves. They weren't reacting to an external force, they were creating their own. The Evric scientists were astonished by the implications of this discovery. Humans, it seemed, were their own greatest challenge. They were predators of their own limitations, constantly seeking new ways to redefine their potential. As their understanding deepened, the Evric scientists began to see humanity not as a fragile species, but as a formidable force. Here was a species that had evolved without the restrictions of a predator, one that had chosen its own obstacles, built its own struggles, and thrived on the trials it had invented for itself. They realized that humanity's lack of a natural predator was not a weakness but a source of unparalleled strength. Over time, the scientists grew to respect humanity's unique evolutionary path. Humans had transformed their environment, harnessed the power of nature, and bent it to their will. They had turned adversity into a tool for growth, an achievement no other species had accomplished. In the absence of a predator, humanity had become its own driving force, shaping its destiny with a level of determination that the Evrics found both admirable and unsettling. As the scientists prepared to compile their findings, They were left with one lingering question. If humanity had achieved this level of strength and resilience without a predator, what might they become if they turned their focus outward, beyond Earth? The Avrix realized that humanity's journey was far from over. They had overcome Earth's challenges now. They stood at the threshold of the stars, ready to face whatever the galaxy might bring. By the time the Avrix scientists convened for their final report, each of them had uncovered layers of humanity that went far beyond mere curiosity. They had begun their study as objective researchers, expecting to observe a species bound by the laws of survival they knew so well. Yet, as they pored over their findings, each scientist brought to the table not only data but a newfound respect and a sense of profound wonder at the paradox that was humanity. The meeting room buzzed with animated discussion as the scientists shared their discoveries. Dr. Kaylor, one of the lead researchers on predator-prey dynamics, presented her findings first. She played footage from the humans' high-altitude expeditions, showing climbers braving freezing temperatures, scaling vertical cliffs, and reaching altitudes that most species would find uninhabitable. These climbers, she explained, gesturing to the images, are facing obstacles that are completely unnecessary for survival. And yet, they seek it out voluntarily. This level of self-imposed adversity is unlike anything we have observed. They push themselves, not because they have to, but because they want to. Her colleagues watched in silence, each considering the implications. Next, Zexier shared his own findings, focusing on human history and its relationship with conflict and ambition. He described humanity's patterns of war, exploration, and self-discovery, explaining how humans had continually invented ways to challenge themselves when nature no longer provided those challenges. Wars, revolutions, scientific revolutions, they are all part of humanity's history, but not because of any external force or predator. Humans are unique in that they create challenges for themselves, fueling their growth from within. When they ran out of natural adversities, they invented new ones, Zexier said, his voice filled with both admiration and unease. The younger researcher, Olivan, chimed in, noting how humans had even created entire institutions around competition. Look at their athletic events, he said, pulling up images of the Olympics, mountain races, and endurance challenges. They do this for honor, for pride, for personal growth. These feats go beyond survival. They are about reaching new limits, as if humans are competing against their own potential. One scientist, skeptical at first, expressed her doubts. But is this sustainable? She asked, glancing around the room. How can a species thrive when they're constantly pushing themselves to the edge of their limits? What stops them from pushing too far? Dr. Kaylor answered, that's precisely the point. Humans know the risks, and yet they choose to take them. They walk the edge, always aware that they could fall but driven by a need to reach beyond. This is a species whose resilience lies in their willingness to face the unknown, even when there is no practical need. The scientist turned to Zexier, who had been observing quietly. After a moment of reflection, he spoke. Perhaps humans are a different kind of apex species. They are not at the top because of brute strength or the elimination of competition. They are at the top because they have chosen to evolve internally, pushing themselves without the need for an external predator. His statement hung in the air, resonating with a profound truth that each scientist felt, but couldn't quite articulate. They realized they were witnessing the evolution of a species driven by ambition, resilience, and self-determination. Where other species had been molded by external forces, humanity had become its own sculptor, defining its strengths and weaknesses on its terms. As the discussion continued, a new theory began to emerge. Humanity's apex position wasn't a matter of superiority, but adaptability. The Avrix understood that humans had reached a level of resilience that went beyond physical attributes. They had developed a psychological strength, a collective willpower that allowed them to adapt to nearly any situation. It was this adaptability, this relentless drive to grow and improve, that made them truly unique. Olivan, always the curious one, added a final observation. In a way, they are their own predators. Their challenges, their wars, their struggles. They're competing against themselves, against the limits of what they can achieve. The others nodded, finally grasping the full scope of what they had uncovered. Humanity had evolved in a self-contained ecosystem, where the only true threat came from within. Without a predator to curb them, humans had become their own adversaries, finding strength in their willingness to challenge their limits. As the meeting came to a close, the scientists felt a mix of respect and awe. They had entered this mission expecting to find a primitive species, an anomaly to be studied and classified. But they were leaving with a new understanding of resilience, a respect for a species that defied the laws of nature to create their destiny. News had spread that humanity was a unique case, an anomaly among intelligent species, and council members from across the galaxy were eager to hear the full account. As the Evrics prepared to present, Commander Zexier took his place at the center of the room. His mind was racing, yet he knew the significance of this moment. The Council's decision could determine not only humanity's place in the galaxy, but the broader understanding of what it meant to be an apex species. Zexier began by recounting humanity's evolutionary path, emphasizing the absence of a natural predator. His descriptions painted a picture of Earth as a world where humans had defied every natural law the Council held dear. The Council members listened intently, their expressions ranging from skepticism to awe as he described humanity's journey from small tribes to vast civilizations, their struggles with self-created challenges, and their relentless drive to grow stronger. When he reached the part about humanity's self-imposed obstacles, their wars, their achievements in sports, their quests for knowledge, the room grew silent. The Averiks' data had shown that humanity had achieved a level of resilience and adaptability that the Council had never encountered. Humans, it seemed, thrived not because they were stronger than their environment, but because they actively sought challenges, constantly pushing themselves to new heights. As Zexier finished, a council member from the Zoltax Confederation spoke up, her voice tinged with disbelief. "Are you suggesting that humanity's strength comes from within? That they have evolved to be resilient without the pressure of a predator?" Zexier nodded, his tone calm yet resolute. "Precisely. Humanity has achieved dominance not through the avoidance of danger, but through a self-imposed struggle. They have become their own measure of strength, redefining what it means to survive and adapt." The council members exchanged uneasy glances, grappling with the implications. The idea of a species that evolved without external threats, that became strong through self-challenge, was revolutionary. It disrupted the council's long-held beliefs about evolution, which hinged on the idea that every apex species required a predator to guide its development. Humanity's existence was, in essence, proof that strength and resilience could be cultivated internally, that the need for a predator was not an absolute truth but a guiding force that could be transcended. After a lengthy discussion, another delegate, Atrax of the Malurian cluster, voiced his concern. If humans have reached this level of strength without a predator, what does that mean for the galaxy? Could they become a threat to other species, unchecked by the natural limits that govern us? Zexier shook his head, a slight smile on his face. Humans are not driven by conquest. They are driven by the desire to test themselves, to see how far they can go. In our studies, we found that while humans can be formidable in conflict, they do not seek dominance for its own sake. Their wars, their struggles, are often internal, a reflection of their need to evolve, not to impose their will on others. A murmur of surprise ran through the council. This portrayal of humanity as a self-reflective, self-improving species defied every stereotype they had held about apex species. The council members leaned in, captivated. As Zexier continued, "The most remarkable thing we observed," he said, "is that humans do not merely survive, they thrive, adapt, and innovate. They have built cultures and systems that encourage growth, cooperation, and empathy. They are a species that seeks strength from within, not through the conquest of others. They pose no threat to the galaxy, but rather, they offer a new way of understanding resilience." The council member sat in silence, absorbing the weight of his words. Humanity, it seemed, was not an anomaly but a beacon of potential. Their journey had shown that strength could be cultivated in ways that went beyond physical dominance, that resilience could be found within, not just imposed by external forces. The Averiks' findings were, in essence, a testament to the power of self-determination, a concept that resonated deeply with the council. After a long deliberation, The council members reached a unanimous decision. Humanity was to be granted a special designation as a species of self-evolved warriors. This rare status recognized Earth as a unique and invaluable world, one that had defied the laws of nature to create strength from within.